What if the brain was already sending signals every morning, but no one recognized them? 1 in 9 seniors already has dementia, and in many cases, the warning signs appeared right after waking up. These aren't just quirks. They're early signs the brain is misfiring, long before dementia takes full control. In this video, you'll discover 7 strange morning habits reported by real families, all witnessed years before diagnosis. If someone you love has started doing these, don't brush it off. You may only have a small window to act before it's too late. Let's begin. Number 1. Insisting it's still nighttime. Virginia used to start every morning by opening all the windows, feeling the wind and sunrise on her face. But by the time she was 69, she began leaving the curtains closed all morning, saying it was too bright. At first, her family thought she was just tired, but soon, Virginia began insisting it was still dark outside, even at 10 in the morning. She said the light looked strange and would get upset, saying she wasn't ready for all that brightness. A few months later, she put on a gown and went back to bed at noon, saying it must be bedtime. That was the moment her son called the doctor for help. Virginia was diagnosed with mixed dementia just 10 months after the first strange morning confusion began. Studies show that early-stage dementia can interfere with how the brain interprets time and light. Seniors may confuse morning and night, misread visual signals, or feel overwhelmed by normal brightness. What looks like stubborn behavior is often rooted in brain changes that affect circadian rhythm, spatial perception, and the ability to process routine environmental cues. Number 2. Putting on clothes backward or inside out. Ronald, 76, had always taken pride in his appearance and never left the house without checking the mirror. So his daughter was confused when he walked into the kitchen one morning wearing his shirt inside out. That was just a year before his frontotemporal dementia diagnosis. They laughed about it, but it kept happening. A few weeks later, he came out wearing 2 pairs of pants, one on top of the other, and seemed unaware anything was wrong. Then came the morning he buttoned his cardigan backwards and proudly claimed it was his new style. When Ronald began wearing pajamas over daytime clothes and mixing up shoes, the family grew concerned. The final straw came when he walked into church wearing a jacket with the hanger still inside. That was the day his daughter finally insisted on a full evaluation. Neuroscientists confirm that dementia can impair spatial awareness and body coordination, even in the early stages. Tasks that were once automatic, like orienting sleeves or aligning buttons, suddenly become confusing. Seniors may put clothing on in the wrong order or direction and not notice anything is off. These wardrobe errors are often overlooked but can reveal early dysfunction in the brain's visual and motor planning systems. Number 3. Eating the same thing every morning. Wanda had always enjoyed a variety of foods for breakfast. Some mornings it was oatmeal, other days toast or fruit, depending on her mood. That's why her son was puzzled when she started eating the exact same bowl of cereal every single morning after she turned 83. At first, he brushed it off and didn't even mention it. Then Wanda began pouring cereal before bed and leaving the bowl on the counter overnight as if preparing for morning. Over the next few months, she ate nothing else for breakfast and refused when someone offered her anything different. Her son finally realized something deeper was going wrong when Wanda began insisting she wanted cereal for lunch and dinner as well, and convinced her to see a doctor. Wanda was diagnosed with Alzheimer's less than a year after the first repetitive breakfast habit appeared. Clinical reports indicate that early dementia often disrupts decision-making and flexibility in routines. The brain becomes less able to plan variations in even simple tasks like choosing what to eat. Familiar routines take over, and anything new can feel overwhelming. Seniors may stick to one food every morning, not because they want to, but because their brains can no longer navigate the options. A subtle sign of declining executive function that many families overlook at first. Number 4. Sitting still for hours doing nothing. Paul, 77, had always been a morning person, waking up before anyone else and taking his dog to the park. But that routine disappeared about a year and a half before his Lewy body dementia diagnosis. One morning, his wife found him sitting silently at the edge of the bed at 9 a.m. still in his pajamas. She didn't press him, assuming he was just tired. But that was only the beginning. Soon he was sitting frozen in the living room for hours, fully awake but not responding until someone spoke to him. Over time, Paul began missing doctor's appointments, skipping meals, and leaving everyday tasks unfinished. When his wife found him in his room tying and untying his shoelaces and humming to himself, they finally decided it was time for a full evaluation. Experts warn that early dementia can affect motivation and task initiation, especially in the morning, when the brain is transitioning from sleep to activity. This isn't just feeling tired, it's called apathy, a neurological symptom linked to damage in the brain's frontal circuits. Seniors may feel stuck, unable to start even simple tasks without prompting. Over time, these passive behaviors become more frequent and can signal deeper cognitive decline even before memory problems are obvious. Number 5. Leaving the front door wide open. Melissa, 79, had always been the cautious type, triple-checking locks and setting the alarm before bed. That's why her husband thought she was just getting forgetful at first, when she started leaving the front door unlocked. But soon she began leaving the door wide open and sat calmly eating cereal in her robe, completely unaware. When asked, she waved it off and said the wind must have pushed it. Things escalated over the next year. She began opening the front door at sunrise and wandered through the backyard, whispering like someone was out there. When she started leaving the stove on and getting angry when questioned, her husband finally decided to call her doctor. Melissa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's about 2 years after her first strange behavior appeared. Findings suggest that early dementia disrupts risk perception and attention, especially during routine morning behaviors. Seniors may not notice when something is out of place or may forget actions seconds after doing them. Simple mistakes like this may signal early damage to brain areas that control judgment, memory, and spatial awareness. Number 6. Using the wrong objects at breakfast. Roughly a year before Mark, 68, was diagnosed with vascular dementia, his wife saw him pour orange juice into a bowl of cereal at breakfast. She chuckled and figured he was just half asleep. But a few weeks later, she watched him butter a slice of bread and place it in the freezer without realizing what he'd done. Then came the morning he fried bacon on a cold pan and forgot to turn on the stove until she asked about it. Mark laughed off each incident, saying he was just distracted. But over time, the mistakes got stranger. One day, he put his wallet in the microwave. Another time, he tried using the TV remote to stir scrambled eggs. That's when his wife stopped joking and called their son. After a few weeks of tracking the incidents, they brought Mark in for an evaluation. Studies show that early dementia can impair object recognition and disrupt long-standing routines. Familiar items may be used incorrectly because the brain no longer assigns them the right function. This is especially noticeable in repetitive morning tasks where muscle memory normally takes over. These changes reflect early damage to brain areas that control sequencing, attention, and object use. Number 7. Brushing teeth. Multiple times or not at all. Janet, 73, kept her bathroom spotless and followed the same morning routine for decades. Shower, brush, dress, breakfast. That's why her daughter was surprised when she noticed the toothbrush still dry after Janet claimed she'd already brushed. A few weeks later, she watched Janet brush her teeth 3 times in an hour, completely unaware she had already done it. At first, she assumed it was a one-time thing. But then Janet started asking where her toothbrush was, even when it was right in front of her. When she began skipping brushing entirely, yet insisted she had, her daughter finally sought help. A full evaluation confirmed Alzheimer's disease about 9 months after the first missed brushing. Research highlights that one of the earliest signs of cognitive decline is difficulty maintaining personal hygiene routines. Dementia can disrupt memory, task sequencing, and the ability to recognize whether an action has already been completed. This often shows up in routine behaviors like brushing teeth, where the brain relies on automatic habit loops. When those loops begin to break, the person may skip tasks, repeat them without awareness, or misuse basic items, revealing how early dementia interferes with even the simplest parts of daily life. These morning habits may look harmless, but they could be the brain's earliest warnings. If you've noticed anything like this in someone you love, don't ignore it. Getting help early could change everything.
And there you have it. What are your thoughts? Next, dive into this video for more essential tips to transform your health and help you thrive. You're going to love it. Thanks for watching Healthy End, and we'll see you there.